So, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Turn 5 podcast. This week we are down Chris because he woke up from an unexplained nap and yet hasn't come on the podcast.
Week.
Exactly. That's a 2-point deduction on your predictions this week, mate.
Yeah, he needs to get practicing on his nap time.
But you know what that means? He also doesn't listen to the podcast, so he's not going to know about it. So we're also going to give him 2 points on his license. Just because we can. Yes, this week we're talking about the Brazil predictions and the latest news because that's all we've got to talk about. There wasn't a race, so it's a bit of a slow week, this one. Let's start with the news. Vegas had a launch party to commemorate the going ahead of next year's race, and they painted the start-finish line, and they painted it wrong because they're geniuses. Yeah, you can see it on Instagram if you go on to I think his name's Kim Illman. He's a photographer around the paddock. It's like the second one, the second photo, so you have to swipe across to see it, but you can very clearly see that someone did it wrong. Which I think is hilarious. And just kind of goes to show why Vegas shouldn't have a race. In the other areas of the party, Crofty was doing his best British bias. That was out in absolute full force. Yeah, not a lot else happened. Underglow on Formula One cars, though, looks quite good. I think they should add that to night races.
Why? It looks good.
It looks sick. Did you not see the video I shared?
Yeah,
it looks sick. I think that would look great. It might work better. Like, imagine Haas, they just have white underglow. That would be amazing.
What colour? Would it just be the colour they have for like the little strip in the leaderboard?
It could be, I think it would just be like their predominant livery colour sort of thing. Because like Mercedes, actually no, because Mercedes had that that nice blue. neon bluey green thing.
It probably would be just the colours.
Yeah, probably.
Turquoise is the term.
Teal.
Bluey green.
Actually, it's teal. It's the colour of my towel.
I thought that was bluey green.
Oh no, man, that's greeny blue.
It's turquoise. Teal is quite dark. Turquoise is the lighter one.
I suppose it depends on how bright they've got the lights turned up, then, doesn't it? But I guess I mean Ferrari because we can. I mean Ferrari's pretty obviously like bright red. Alfa Romeo would be like the darker sort of burgundy. They've got burgundy. Yeah. Green would be Aston Martin's would be like British Racing green, or maybe because they use that lime green accenting. Yeah. So maybe that would be it. I think Red Bulls would probably be the most difficult one.
Red, probably, I guess.
Yellow?
It could be like the gold of their.
Yeah.
Maybe Max would run gold because he's the champion.
I think they'd have to have them both the same colour.
Yeah.
You could just have like the Dutch flag.
Or just like the light strip with the lights and
I mean, obviously Haas would be white.
Toro Rosso would have been a good one because like that bright blue would have been nice.
Well, I mean, they're Alpha Towering now. They still have that sort of there's more a darker blue, isn't it?
Yeah, the Toro Rosso bright blue would be very nice.
I think that's probably what Williams would end up with now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, good point.
So everyone? I think that's everyone. Alpine, they'd have to have a slightly lighter blue than Williams.
Little pink.
McLaren would have orange.
And McLaren would just have their papaya colour. So,
nice.
Like some of the teams are very self-explanatory. You know, like Ferrari, McLaren, Haas. They're very much this is the livery, this is the colour. And I mean to get around the whole our teams would like because obviously any new component teams have looked at like get a thing up. Some components have been locked development wise, so they're fixed, so you can't change them there. What's the term I'm looking for? I'm pulling a blank here. Anyone going to dig me out of my hole?
Of
FIFA.
term of it being fixed, so you can't change it.
No, it's like it's in the regulations. You know, there's a certain term for it, but I don't know. But you can just the FIA could provide the teams with a kit, and it's like you equip this to your car in this fashion so that it works. Because it would just go along. Yes, sort of. Maybe not quite, but it would just go along like the edge of the floor skirt, wouldn't it? Like it's a pretty simple fix. I mean, some teams would claim, it's just going to interfere with the aero, and it's like every other team has to fit it as well, so you're all in the same boat. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think that would look cool at the night races, but very much in the same, probably in the same boat as like the LED wheel covers that were discussed. Of it's probably just a gimmick.
Yeah.
But I think this would be more sustainable in terms of it would still look good no matter what, in terms of instead of being like a bit of more of a gimmicky, it's got the lap counter on the wheel cover. You know, it's just it doesn't do much. It's just an aesthetic addition rather than what they were saying with the wheel covers of like you can either have like the team's logo on it or the lap counter or it's a yellow flag. You know, it's just like
it's just one solid color.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like what teams have done with the non-LED wheel hubs. Like, I mean, I know most teams haven't done much. McLaren and Alfa Romeo are the real. They've actually done something with it.
Alfa just have white and burgundy, don't they?
Yeah, they've got they've got their two-tone sort of. It looks almost like a camera shutter sort of design, but at least they did something with it, you know.
And McLaren have just plastered a sponsor. Have that.
Hey, it's free real estate, right? You've got a space. Why not hire out a sponsor for it? You know, easy money. So, still, I think it looks all right. But yeah, I think night races, that'd be kind of a cool addition. Someone brought up the point of the actual night races are lit up significantly more than the Vegas event was. So maybe you'd need more powerful underglow. I don't really know. It'd be something you'd probably have to test, but test it. Give it a go, you know? Knock yourself out.
That mean having to do, they'd do it in like practice or whatever, wouldn't they?
We could do it at the end of season. Or at the preseason.
Yeah, but it'd be dark.
For FP2, Bahrain. That's after dark, isn't it?
Yeah. There's like dusks then, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd give you an idea because it's under the lights. So still, we'll see. It probably won't ever happen.
No.
Because since when did anything I ask of like Formula One actually happen? Things I ask the FIA seem to be happening, but you know, Formula One, not yet.
No, ask the FIA then.
True, just make them pull their leg.
Yeah. Give us underglow for no reason other than it looks good.
Why have we got wheel covers? Oh, it's to do with the turbulent wake of the wheels. Oh, right, yeah.
It's broken.
They look bad because the teams haven't actually done anything with them.
Yeah, but if they just got rid of the wheel cover, the wheel just looks so much better anyway. I want to see is it spokes of the wheel, is it?
Yeah, spokes. Yeah. So in other news, and slightly, I don't know, weird yet unexpected news, Stoffel Van Dorn has signed with Aston Martin as a reserve driver. He was, of course, one of Mercedes' reserve drivers. Was also in Formula E.
Yes. He's the reigning Formula E world champion.
Yeah.
I knew I'd heard his name somewhere.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just saying it every 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, Stoffel
with-
Van Dorn, you are the world champion of
Yeah.
hairdryers. So I mean, that's another one that Mercedes have lost, quote unquote, in the last couple of weeks. Nick De Vries being the other. I don't know. What do we think? I mean, he was a reserve driver for one team. Now he's a reserve driver for another team. Does it particularly do anything? Is it so that he can be a mentor for Felipe Drugovich, who's now in Aston Martin's driver academy? Does someone in their driver academy really want to be learning from an F1 dropout?
Yeah, I think like Aston Martin have, copied from Mercedes before, so why not do it again?
Take their old drivers.
Copy their car, nick their drivers, yeah.
Yeah.
No one knows work.
Of course, this feeds the rumor mill that Danny Rick's looking for a reserve seat or whatever to keep his foot in the door at some teams, and oh look, Mercedes now have a reserve seat, and so yeah, obviously the rumor mill's been going bananas for that. I don't know. I want to see him around. I don't know if he'd particularly want to be reserve at Mercedes or whatever. Hey, who knows? Maybe if he gets paid enough, he'll quite happily just sit there and smile at the cameras for FP1.
Yeah.
So, would he even be doing that much? Because he can't do the rookie testing thing that they've got now, can he? Hell, he's on like the longest consecutive start streak that's currently ongoing. If you look at
Alonso got to do the rookie test.
No. That was the young driver test at the end of the year. I'm talking about FP1 sessions where they have to run a rookie in each car.
We do the test behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That Lewis wouldn't want to do.
True. Cold Wednesday morning at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Followed from a cold Tuesday night at Stoke.
You don't want to do that one.
No, you definitely don't want to do that. I mean, there hasn't really been a lot of news other than that, has there? Vettel's doing a competition where you can have your face on his helmet.
Bidding
For his last race.
Yeah, it's an auction, I think, as well.
Yeah, it is.
And somebody's bid like 9 billion or something, 900 billion or whatever. I just everyone.
Well, I mean, that's obviously going to bounce because nobody's going to afford that.
See, it costs like the helmet itself. Just buy the helmet, mate, instead of bidding 9 billion just to get your face on it.
Can you Google? Can you offer to translate this page for me? Thank you. There we go. We should say that the competition, the auction, is to raise money for his environmental projects. So it's not just like, let's raise money,
Let's raise money. That's better.
Okay, a lot of the current bids I'm seeing are 65, 66 euros, but they're probably all like, okay, here we go. 58,000 for picture 476.
Oh.
Picture 69, 50 grand. Wait, you found more? I've gone on, mine's
58 grand.
Yeah, that's what I've got, 58,000 euros. 50,000 euros for number 69 though. Oh.
There you go. I can bid 60 grand. Let's raise the stakes.
I want to bid 69,000. I can't afford that.
Wait, is that? Oh no, that's 65. Where's picture 267?
Yeah, I need a map of the helmet to know where my face is going to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can bid to have your face on Seb's helmet. Varies from reasonably cheap, 65 euros, all the way up to 58,000 euros. I can imagine that probably by the end of the bidding, which has only got a couple of days left, by the time this goes out, probably only a day and an hour or so. I can imagine that the bidding would end up mostly towards the higher end of things. I'm sure
Well,
there's
ends on the 10th. So
Yeah.
on Thursday.
Yeah. But I can imagine there's a fair few Formula One fans with enough in their pockets to bid a significant amount to put it on its helmet. But it's all going to a good cause, so I can't complain too much, even if I did want my face on there.
Yeah,
It
know
is
what you
what
got to do.
Sell my soul and or a
Yeah.
kidney. You need
Or
one
both.
kidney anyway. Yeah, I could sell my soul to get my helmet on, my face on the helmet, and then sell my kidney just for some extra cash.
You can sell your soul to get your helmet on the helmet.
Yep. I'm gonna have a whole helmet on the helmet. Hey, don't take it that way. No, that's dude, no. Okay, moving on. We have the Brazilian Grand Prix. Well, actually, is it Brazil? That's the thing. Because on the
Sao
website,
Paulo.
yeah,
So
see,
it's Brazil.
Yeah, it's
it says Brazil, but the name of the Grand Prix is the Grande Premio de Sao Paulo. So it's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but it's Brazil. Good stuff. It's probably just going to come up as they'll have to introduce it as Sao Paulo, won't they? Surely. Crofty's gonna watch Crofty call it Brazil now. It's gonna be.
Crafty call it the Lewis Hamilton Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, definitely. So. After his amazing performance last year, wow. Definitely not because he had a fresh engine and everyone else was in engine saving mode. No, and he wasn't in a vastly superior car to the rest of the field or anything. No. Anywho, it's the return of F1 Sprint, which means that qualifying is on a Friday evening. We have a probable half an hour to 45 minutes of racing on Saturday evening, and then the full Grand Prix on Sunday. How do we feel about the fact that Sprint's at Brazil again, given that the other two were changed up earlier in the year?
Why did they change it?
I think if we're going to have Sprint and it's at a limited number of races, we should change it up on the proviso that it never happens at Monaco.
Yeah.
Because that. But yeah, I mean, like they changed the other two earlier in the year, and Monza was okay, and Silverstone was from last year, and now and it's just like I think Brazil only got a pass because Lewis Hamilton was at the back.
Yeah.
That's the only, like everyone's like, oh yeah, it was amazing because there was actually some overtaking because there was a car out of position. If we're not going to sugarcoat it, you know.
I think just to make some appeal of sprint races, just make it different races every year. So then you've got like never tried a sprint race at this track before. We'll see what it's like.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's like I feel like they took the feedback of, oh yeah, the sprints were in Silverstone and Monza. I feel like they took that as like, it's always going to be here. Whereas they took like that one feedback of Brazil, of, oh my god, it was actually okay, and we're like, okay, keep it here. But like, it was just a one-off thing. Like, there was no guarantees that sprint would be at Monza this year or Silverstone this year. Like, we have bad races at good circuits with reasonable frequency, you know, like Suzuka is usually a all right racetrack, but we had a bad Grand Prix there this year. Doesn't mean it's not going to appear on the calendar next year, does it? Like, I think they were a bit too quick to judge it, especially considering they're adding more anyway. Like, sure, if you want to try different circuits, do it, but like do it for all of them.
I think for like the first couple of years, like the trialing of it, do it different circuits, see which ones work best. But like, obviously, there's ones like the one-off here that Lewis was out of position. So, yeah. But like the ones that generally had the best feedback, and if you are going to implement them, do them in those ones, or again, mix it up every year.
Yeah, or at least look at the actual like sprint races statistically and remove the anomalous results of, hey, Lewis Hamilton was at the back, so yes, there might have been 6 overtake. No, like he got up to what 10th and then got 5 place group penalty or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there might have been like 9 overtakes, but he was out of position in the first place. So let's take those 9 overtakes out and see how many overtakes there actually were. And oh, look, it's only like 3. And let's compare it to Monza. Oh, look, there was 4. And let's compare it to Silverstone. And oh, look, there was 2. Like, you know, you can't base everything off one little part of what was occurring. If you ask the McLaren fans, like, yeah, 2021 Monza sprint race was great. The drivers jumped up a couple of positions, and then Bottas got an engine penalty and was sent to the back of the grid. So Danny Rick started on the front row. Like, it was fantastic. But that's just one team's perspective, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of an anomaly as well.
Yeah. So I feel like they should have changed it for all 3. And now next year we're going to have 6. And what's the bet? Brazil's going to be one of them.
Most likely.
Oh, definitely. I'm still not bought on sprint races. I don't like the fact it sets up the grid for the race. It's still, like, as much as they're giving out points for it, I still feel like they're still holding back somewhat from properly going for it.
Yeah. I feel like they improved it from last year by increasing the incentives in terms of the points on offer, which was the general feedback. So they listened. Good. They improved. Fine. But I don't think they took it far enough.
Yeah.
Look at the lower form. I think we've said this a few occasions before. The lower formula have got it right.
I think
the midfield teams, they've just reverse grid it.
Yeah, I think they should do like quali for sprint, then for the actual race.
But in order to actually get the reverse grids to work and not just make teams get into Q3 and then not set a time, you need to add bigger incentives, because then the midfield teams will actually go and try and hold that position to get those points, whereas the top teams will be trying to get the grid position for Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, have it so that quali sets the sprint grid, but the top 10 is flipped. And then the result of the sprint is the grid, but more points.
How do they do it in F2? Is it like...
So in F2...
The quali is the sprint, but top 10 flipped, is it?
Yeah, so quali sets feature race and sprint race, but the top 10 are flipped in the sprint. So the sprint race result has no bearing
top 12 or something, or is that Formula 3?
Formula 3 is top 12, yeah. But yeah, the sprint race result has no bearing on the feature race starting grid. Whereas if they want to make it so that the sprint race is the sprint race result is the start grid, then you need to do it. You need to have a reverse somewhere, you know, to make it more, just to make more action. But I know we talk about adding action for the sake of action and just gimmicks and whatever, but it's just they're holding back because their mindset isn't on the sprint race. Their mindset is on the full points of the Grand Prix.
So if we have like the reverse grid in the sprint race, the midfield teams are going to go for it more because they want the top points and they're going to be there to get the top points. Whereas like the top teams are going to be like towards the back, well, towards the middle.
They're going to be in the mid pack, so it's going to be a risk for them. Yeah.
But, yeah.
So
they would be trying, but like
imagine how much Alpine and McLaren would be fighting over it, because there's only 7 points between them at the minute. Imagine how much they'd be fighting over, like 15 points for a sprint race win, as against 8.
The only thing with the sprint race thing is if you flip the top 10 in quali, could you see teams purposely not go out in like Q3 just to get 10th place to be sprint race pole?
I mean,
No, because
Yeah,
they
but
want the pole position for the feature race.
you could see that. Yeah, that is the risk, but you'd have to
You'd probably see more
penalize them basically,
Yeah.
and say if you can't produce evidence that your car had a fault and you didn't set a time.
Yeah, you'd probably.
But then again, they just go out and set like a mediocre time, wouldn't they? And say, "Oh, look, I had a wobble of oversteer."
I think you'd get more of the midfield doing that to get the pole.
Yeah.
First in the sprint, and then you get top teams wanting to get pole for the feature race because they need to stay in that pole.
Yeah, definitely like Alpine, McLaren, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri.
Yeah, so if we said, okay, so let's do it exactly like Formula 2 does it in terms of quali sets the grid for both, but only the feature race, the sprint race is flipped.
Yeah.
Sure, that works. Then everyone knows that they've got a position on Sunday's grid sorted, so they can give it the full beans on Saturday.
But I think that's probably why Formula 1 haven't done that, because they want to differentiate from the feeder series.
No, they want to. The wording was they don't want to detract from the spectacle of the Grand Prix. They don't want to undermine it. It's like, if you're not, look at the other series. Everyone knows that the main race is the feature race. Yeah, but at the same time, the sprint race is a good way to get points, and it's an opportunity for other drivers who might not always get points.
If they don't want to undermine the race,
why have the sprint race in the first place? Because money. That's why.
Was it for like trying to get the cars on the track for longer?
Yeah.
Wasn't that a thing? Yeah.
But in reality, aren't they on track for less time now? Because you've only got FP1, qualifying, FP2, sprint race. And the sprint is shorter than FP3. So isn't that less time on track? Just saying. So I feel like the way things work within the paddock is wrong. Like teams get a say in what happens, like in terms of reverse grids. Like there was 9 teams that wanted to do it, but 1 team didn't. Mercedes. I feel like that's wrong. I don't think that the team should have a say. The Premier League don't really get a say in what goes on, do they? They have,
unless it's the Super League.
Okay, yeah. They have an input, but they don't get the final say.
Yeah, I think
that's what the difference is.
They can give their opinion.
The problem is the teams have the final say, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Formula 1 should have the final say, not the teams. It
depends what it's on.
Like they can do the vote on like who wants to do this, who doesn't. Whether they listen to it is a different question, but they can see.
I think they should give the teams a vote on what tracks they want to go to. I think that's a great idea.
Watch Red Bull pick all the street circuits.
Yeah, who wants to go to Qatar? Every team, no. Goodbye.
Well, no, Alpine would say yes because Alonso got a podium.
They'd be the only one saying yes.
Who wants to go to Jeddah? No one.
No. Who wants to go to Monaco?
Everyone, because they're contractually obligated to say yes.
Who wants to go to Miami? No one.
Everyone, because they're equally contractually obligated to say yes. Oh, but anyway, yeah, we're not contractually obligated to say anything, except for our predictions. So Ben, pole
this
winner.
isn't in my contract.
It is now.
On a pay rise.
Give us.
I want to pay.
You're getting paid. How much work do you do for this?
Hey, I've put in time and effort on my recent project. I'm going to take over an episode at the end of the year, and it's going to be the best episode we've ever done.
I think is Ben the only person who's given in money to the podcast for the Will?
Thank you.
I have spent money on this, but not to like get people on. I have just spent money on equipment.
Us two are carrying it.
Pregnant.
Yes, that's a very nice microphone there, Nia. I wonder where you got that from. It looks awfully like my old one.
Yeah, anyway, on pole I got Hamilton.
You got Hamilton. Okay, sprint win.
Verstappen.
Verstappen.
Have that, Crofty. Have that.
He's been robbed of the sprint win. Podium.
Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc.
Nia.
Pole Hamilton.
Sprint win.
Hamilton.
Podium.
Verstappen.
He's been robbed of the sprint win.
Get in.
Verstappen. Russell Hamilton.
It's been robbed of second place as well.
I'm going Verstappen pole, Verstappen sprint win, Verstappen Hamilton Sainz for the podium. That's a risky one, but Sainz usually goes well in Brazil? Question mark. I think he does.
Yeah. Well, he went from what was it, P19 to P3.
Yeah,
2019. So
I can dream. Bold prediction, Nia.
Forgot about this one. Happens every week.
You'd have thought you'd have learnt by now then, if it happens every week.
It's me. Always surprised.
True.
Last lap incident.
Ooh, okay. Ben.
Verstappen makes Crofty cry. Am I getting away with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Carlos Sainz to gain 4 positions during the race. And that's in the Grand Prix, not in the sprint as well. Like just the Grand Prix.
Mine's for the.
I'm going to say he has a decent qualifying, but has an engine penalty of some description. So then has to climb back up. That's what's going to happen.
My one
Chris.
for the feature race per se.
Chris has gone for everyone to have an incident on lap 1.
No, Chris has gone for no lap 1 incident. And can you spot Chris's bias in his predictions of Verstappen pole, Hamilton sprint race win, Hamilton Verstappen Russell podium. He's also been docked 2 points for not being here and received 2 points on his license, which we did cover at the start. But I'm just reiterating. It's the Mercedes way.
Yeah. You gotta be careful of them these days.
Oh, no, exactly. Lap down showdown. Chris has gone for Latifi lap 26 and 2 laps down. Nia, I know you weren't here, but congrats, you did get Latifi 25 and 2 last time. So well done on that. It finally paid off. So what do you want to say? Just for reference. Okay. There are 71 laps is what I was going to say, but never mind.
Again.
Ben?
Latifi 25 and 1 lap down.
Oh, wow, that's bold. That is. I'm going to say Lancelot Strolovich, lap 28, 2 laps down. Amazing.
If it is 25 and 1, I'm going to be ecstatic.
You'll be the only. I suppose he'll be quite happy that you only finished 1 lap down. Wait,
It's a good performance for him.
I mean, yeah, that is probably a record for the year.
Well, he got P9, didn't he? Was it P9 or P10?
True. I'm pretty sure he was still a lap down though. I don't know.
He's probably the last one to finish.
Anyway, that about wraps it up for this week's episode.
No, Japan.
Yeah, when it was
P9
down and we didn't actually get a proper race. That about wraps it up for this week's episode. Join us next week where we'll be discussing the Brazilian / Sao Paulo Grand Prix and making our predictions ahead of the season finale in Abu Dhabi. Thank you for watching, listening. Give us a like, rate 5 stars, give us a follow, drop a comment, say hi,
Subscribe.
hit that bell button to let us know when a video goes out.
Let
And
you
we'll-
know, not
To
us,
let
but
you
we
know.
the video.
Yeah.
Us royal, myself included, because I'm gonna ding the bell.
We
And
know
we'll-
the video's going out.
Ding dong.
I know when a video's going out because it's when I say so.
Usually says.
Usually being the key word in that sentence.
Yeah.
But until next time, thank you and goodbye.